What's up, guys? I'm Derek.
I'm Evan.
I'm Ryan.
We're in a band called State Champs, hanging here with Rob on Front Row Live.
What's up, guys?
It's been a minute, man. We're doing very well, though.
It
Yeah.
has been a minute. New record is out now, and I'm so excited. I was just saying earlier, the previous record is still a great, I can still pop it in and be as excited as I was the first day that it dropped.
Yeah, man.
And then this new record is definitely like a follow-up to it, and it's like, you guys just keep stepping it up. It's unbelievable, how you guys are doing it.
Yeah, it's been cool, man. You know, it's our third album. After our first one, a little bit of pressure to go with the second one, and then the second one comes out, and it's like, okay, we outdid the first one.
Right.
Third time around, it's like, okay, how are we gonna outdo both of those? But we took our time, man, and we really just spent the time. We had about 2 or 3 years off since the release of our last one, Around the World and Back, and we really tried to dial in what we wanted to do differently and take the next chapter to. So we're here now.
Now, with the second record, that kind of opened up the gates for you guys, because that record dropped and massive tours were happening. The audience was just getting bigger. The shows were getting insane. How did you guys get used to that all of a sudden? And on top of that, there's more sacrifice that you guys had to go through, less time with family and stuff like that. How did you guys go through that?
Yeah, it was interesting because I think when the Finer Things came out and we were doing that record cycle, we didn't know what to expect. And so, like I said, we did 2014 Warped Tour, and we were on the Kevin Says stage, which is, probably the smallest stage,
right,
because we were a new band. And we were just seeing this massive growth, crowds that were probably too big for that stage.
Yeah.
And so we were like, oh, something's kind of happening here. And throughout that next year, we started writing Around the World and Back, and we did a tour with All Time Low, 5 Seconds of Summer, just some crazy stuff that we didn't expect to happen started happening.
Right.
And we just kind of went with the flow. It was definitely tough to adjust, but I think if you want something, you kind of have to force yourself to adjust.
Right.
And so we just kind of did what we knew best, and that was just grow with the band.
Right. Now, as you guys were adjusting, the 5 Seconds of Summer tour, I think that was overseas. That was their hometown tours.
Yeah.
So, that audience was crazier than probably what you guys had already gone through. So what was that like for you guys, and how did that kind of change the way that you guys looked at or visualized your live set?
It was crazy, it's a cool opportunity to when you get, the offer to do a support tour as big as something like that. 5 Seconds of Summer, who they were killing it, and at their peak at the time as an Australian pop band or whatever, and those shows were already sold out in stadiums and arenas before we were even announced in the tour. So it didn't even matter that we were there, but it really opened up a lot of new fans for us, and we had to win over those crowds.
Right.
We're playing first; it's only us and them, and so the lights go out. And everyone thinks 5 Seconds of Summer is coming out there, and it's the loudest thing we've ever heard. And then it's just 5 guys that walk up there, and it's State Champs, and we're like, "What's up, you guys?"
It was very intimidating because I think the biggest crowd we had played in front of before that was only a few thousand, and then we were playing up to 22,000 cap rooms.
Yeah, but we really won them over. We got out there and we gave it our all and just went for it and wanted them to know who we were. Here's your new favorite band, and we're gonna steal all of the 5 Seconds of Summer fans right now. But we had a cool contrast to that because those shows were once every couple days or once every other day. And what we did to bring some contrast to that was we would do the 20,000 cap arena one night in Sydney, Australia, and then the next night we'd have a day off, but we'd do a headliner show at a very, very small club just to our fans who wanted to see us, so that couldn't get tickets to the 5 Seconds of Summer show because they're already sold out.
Right.
So it's like, okay, cool, we'll go back to our roots here on the days off and play in these small clubs, what we're used to, those intimate, packed, sweaty shows with stage diving and sing-alongs, and then we hang out after the shows and just get to kick it with our fans and give back to those who give us the opportunity to do what we do. And that's what made that tour very special.
Yeah.
I'm sure coming back home, that was probably unreal too. Just that whole experience, just
we
listening.
Have plenty of stories to tell after that. Yeah.
I bet you do. Now, now we're, the new album is out, Living Proof, and let's go into take me into the studio with this record. You guys had 3 producers this time. You had John Feldman, you had Mike Green, and you went back with Kyle Black.
Yeah.
So how different was it this time around, having 3 different, heads helping you guys out while you guys are creating the music?
Yeah, it was a different process this time. We're used to just being in one studio with one producer, maybe two producers or whatever, but just like sticking in one home base the whole time. It was cool to split it up and surround ourselves around different people, put ourselves in different environments, and take as many swings as we could, try new things, and not be afraid to branch out, really. While, in fact, at the back of our mind, we're only going to do things that we want to do. We're never going to let anyone tell us what to do or let anyone push us into something that we don't want to be. It's always going to be organic and tell the message that we want to portray. But it was cool just to kind of be in the room with someone like John Feldman, who we wrote with a little bit before, but every day that we do something with John Feldman, someone like him, we're learning every step of the way. We're going to learn something new every day, and we're going to be pushed outside of our comfort zone always, multiple times a day. So something like that built us as a band for sure. Someone like Mike Green, however, is a little more low-key and chill, but he's still very, very smart and very, very oriented when it comes to music and a brilliant songwriter. So we're learning a lot about the technical side of that and songwriting and just being like more like calm, cool, and collected in the studio as well. But then as someone like Kyle Black, he killed the mix and the production on our last album, Around the World and Back, and we knew that we were not going to do another record without Kyle being the mixer of that and being the backbone of it, you know?
Right.
Plus, I feel like with Kyle, too, since we worked with him on the last record, he knows how to push us in the best way. I know for Ryan and I specifically, like, he knows how to push us to where we get our best performances. Not that the other producers didn't, but it was nice to go back to Kyle to have like that home base. And the other producers, it was cool to see their different styles and how to apply it. And I think this is the most fun I've had writing a record. So it was cool to see everybody's different styles.
Definitely.
Now, as far as like challenges, because Mike Green and John are the new ones for you guys, and you guys are used to Kyle. But how did you guys feel challenged this time around in the studio?
I mean, I think we just went in knowing that we had to make a better record than the last one. I mean, with I think every band probably has that challenge with each record. Right. And challenges were writing as many songs as we did. We started out probably with like 20 songs, and we were just trying to figure out which ones were going to be, the front runners, which ones were the ones that we wanted to focus on. Right. And kind of fighting for that, because sometimes somebody else might have had a different idea, and I mean, like, as far as a challenging record goes, I felt like this one was less challenging than Around the World and Back, because that was we didn't get any time off to write that record, so we were doing it on the road, and we were
more pressured.
Exactly. Like this record was like provided us an opportunity to spend time writing every song and really thinking about every part, every lyric, every guitar, every melody, like literally everything. Whereas the last one, it was really gut instinct kind of thing. Right. And so I don't know, speaking personally, I felt like obviously we had to challenge ourselves and push ourselves musically and creatively, trying to be the best that we can be. But as far as like an overall picture, I felt very like at peace when we finished the record, because I'm like, we did what we set out to do, and that was to make a great record and have fun doing it.
Now you mentioned like you kind of stepped out of your boundaries, tried new things on this record, experimented a little bit, but it still has that state champ sound. I feel like sometimes bands, when they try to experiment, they go off of what their band is all about. So, was that something that just happened naturally? Is that something that you guys kept making sure that, okay, we have to make sure that we do sound like State Champs no matter who listens to it?
Yeah, definitely, because when we bring in these other outside, people like that we don't normally write with, someone like Feldman or someone like Mike Green, we also had some other help from some other friends on this record. We brought in Alex Gaskarth from All Time Low, who helped us on some tracks. We brought in Mark Hoppus from Blink-182, who we didn't even expect to be working with on this album, but that happened to work, and we had no idea who we knew who he was, obviously. We had no.
No, you didn't know who he was.
Yeah, we were just like, never heard of you, man. Like I guess let's write a song or whatever. No, we didn't know he was going to be around hanging with us at the studio, but he was there one day, and then he asked himself if he could stay for the day and write some songs with us. So obviously we're not gonna be like, nah, bro, we're good. So like within 15 minutes of meeting him, me and Mark are outside writing lyrics together outside of John Feldman's house, and I'm like, I'm nervous as hell. I have no idea what I'm like. All right, how much do I tell him? How much do I open up to him? And he's just asking questions, but also being like, dude, it's totally cool if you don't want to talk about something, you don't have to. But like, what do you want to say? What do you want to write about? And it took me a little bit to just be like, yeah, bro, just open up. Don't be afraid. So like he made it very comfortable and just like stress free, and kind of made it an organic setting to just start like shooting the shit and just like writing stuff together. And like in that one day that we wrote together, and because of the time management and like the chemistry that we built together, we ended up with the first single on the record, Dead and Gone. Right. And then we also ended up with a completely different style song called Time Machine that's like a lot darker and slower, and it's becoming a lot of people's favorite songs I'm starting to hear, which is so cool. Different dynamic for us as a band, and something that doesn't sound like a pop punk song at all. Sounds like something outside of the box, but then at the end with the story and the melodies and with everything compacted into one, still feels like a CHAMPS song. So it's really cool to see that kind of dynamic with us on this record.
Right. I think when we set out to write this record, we knew that that might be the biggest challenge, is trying to write with these other people and keep it sounding CHAMPS. And that's been the most maybe encouraging thing that I've heard from people, that they're like, it's evident how much you guys have grown in every way, but it's still CHAMPS. Right. It's like, I'm not afraid to listen to this record thinking that it's going to sound like another band. It's still CHAMPS. And that's, I think that was a conscious thing for us.
Yeah, I guess that also just reflects on what I was saying earlier. It's just like we were never going to let anyone, even these outside sources who maybe we look up to and want to be like yes men to, we're not going to really give into that unless it really feels true to form to us. So that's just it. I'm agreeing with Ryan basically.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And with time,
it's perfectly said.
With Time Machine, I'm glad you mentioned that one too, because that I like how you guys incorporate the piano into that song. Yeah. I don't recall you guys ever doing that on any track.
No, we brought in our buddy from this new band from Australia called The Fame, who was also out in the studio. Who was also out in the studio at Feldman's, and he added his little touch to it, and we let him go ahead and do his thing on Time Machine, and it really came out cool with just different influences and different parts, but also still staying true to form and the message that we wanted to bring together, that we collaboratively came with together. Right. And that's Time Machine. So I want people to hear. I can't wait to hear other people's feedback on that song.
It's definitely the most different one on the record, and the most experimental we've ever been as a band. So I had a great time with that one.
Now back to writing with Mark Hoppus, like, because that was another thing I actually wanted to ask you, like, how did you open up to him? Like, because when you look up to someone like that, like, I mean, it's already hard enough to be vulnerable for your audience. Yeah. And then when you're being vulnerable to someone that you've looked up to over the years, like, how were you able to get comfortable? Is it because of the way that he was he just joking around while you guys were writing? Like,
I think it was a lot about the way he is as a person. Kind of like, he doesn't take himself too seriously, which ultimately doesn't make me take myself too seriously, but also
how we are. Like, he came in and was like, he fit right in, because we were just joking around, goofing off, and that's how he was. It was awesome.
Super comfortable. I remember one of the first things he did is we were sitting on the couch, and he Googled our names, and he's like, who is Derek Toscano, or who is Evan Ambrosio, and he'd be like, I'm like that's me, and he'd be like,
joking around with us. A lot of people always say, like, maybe never meet your heroes, man. You never know what you're gonna expect. Maybe you'll be totally let down. Right. And in this case, whatever level that may be for each of us individually, like, it was a thing where it's like, holy shit, okay, we're about to learn everything about this guy, and we're gonna see how he really is as a person. And he's just a normal ass dad, man. He's just like, he's the dad of the scene. He's cracking jokes all the time, very true to form, very just like, cool, I like this riff, let's go with that. What did you just say? That was funny. Let's put that in the song. Like anything like that. Just super laid back, and made it very, very comfortable for us. And because of that, we got the first single out of the album, and we got a very, very unique dynamic song out of it that took us outside of the box, outside of our comfort zone, but made us learn a lot about songwriting and a lot about just being in a studio process.
Now, speaking of unique, I can't pinpoint it till now. Like, I feel like your voice is different. I feel like you did something with your vocals.
What happened?
I have no clue. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. But
drinking a lot of beer over the last 2 years.
That's just cleared myself out, man. I'm on a whole new level.
Yeah, I've been listening to the record. I'm like, something is different with the voice. Like, I just can't pinpoint it. I don't know if it's like you're singing more than you are, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
I got better at singing, I think.
You learned to sing.
I learned a lot more. No, I really did, especially being around John Feldman and being around Mike Green all the time. I love recording vocals with both of them. I can just get in the vocal booth, whether I have lyrics to a song or not. John Feldman would say, oh, you got an idea for a song? I like that riff. Okay, ready, vocals, let's go. And I'm like, what? We don't even have one lyric for this song yet. He would throw me in the vocal booth and go, okay, we've got the tempo track. You hear what we talked about it, right? It's like, no, we didn't talk about shit, man. He was like, okay, here we go, 3, 2, 1, and just make me sing anything. And I'm nervous. I have no idea what to do. But then after like I'd sing something or try something, he'd be like, did you hear that one thing you did? Did you hear that? That's gonna stay. And then like we build off of that. Any little thing that we get that's very just like improv is like something that can really set the tone and something that we can build off of for any sort of song. And that was something we had never ever tried before, but something that we learned so much about. It's like, okay, just hear that one thing. You hear what you did there, right? Cool. That's the vibe. Okay, keep going. Start again. Do that again, but better. It's just so weird, but something that just took us outside of something that we're ever going to be comfortable with, because if we keep doing the same thing that we're comfortable with, it's always going to be the same thing, so it's just that's what we needed to kind of kickstart this new chapter for us as a band.
I definitely think my favorite part about working with Feldman was the way that he pushed you. He made you, like you said, made you do things that you were maybe not necessarily comfortable with, but things that benefited the record, because we didn't have that vision. And he was like, well, what about, trying this? And we would try it. And then we were like, oh, that's actually very cool. And then we would stack, harmonies. And then he would clip these like little weird pieces together and make this vocal part that didn't exist before. And it was really interesting to watch in that regard.
Yeah. It was fun to see Derek push like that, because we could tell from previous records that he doesn't do things that way, and I feel like even some of the best vocal performances were like first takes for him, because of it was pretty amazing to watch.
Because of the setting and the weirdness of it.
And he stepped up and he got it done. It was really cool to watch Feldman work like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you could tell that difference in the record. Now I know what it is, but
now you get the whole thing.
Now I totally get it, but you could totally like understand like how much you guys have evolved within the last, from this record to the last record. But speaking of evolution, like, because you guys were out touring the world practically for the last year and a half or so, if not longer, like, how do you guys feel your live show is now because of all that experience? Is that something that you guys have like really concentrated on rebranding or?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, our main purpose as a band is, like, if you were going to hear our band for the first time or hear about our band for the first time, we would rather you, I think, see our live show before anything, because that sets the tone for us as a band, what we stand for and how we perform. Like, you're going to number one, you're going to hear our songs, and we're going to play them to the T and how as close to the record as we want. But we vibe off of a crowd's energy, and we vibe off of the live show energy, and that's kind of like how we want to be perceived as a band. The energy that we give off and how much of a workout we try to get out there on stage, and it goes both ways. We try to pump up a crowd, and then when we see the crowd engaging, singing the words back, jumping up and down and screaming the lyrics back at us, that only fuels our fire and gets us going just as much. So I think because of how much touring we've done, we've learned the do's and don'ts and ins and out of that, and we're still learning every show that we play. Things that we want to do better, or new things we want to try, or production wise, we're adding like crazy light shows and different production value to our show every time and during every tour. So that's only going to build as we keep going as a band too, and we've gotten to a level where we think we've pretty much got this shit,
Right. And you guys are about to, I mean, like we said, records out now, and then Warped Tour starts next week. And you guys are doing Warped Tour. So I mean, how does that feel, like having a record just drop and then going to some major festival like Warped Tour or even a major tour?
I mean, Warped Tour has been one of my favorite summers since 2014, since the first time that we did it. And just kind of being peers with people that you grew up listening to, I loved 4 Year Strong growing up, and I still do. Amazing band. But meeting them on Warped Tour and then just like becoming friends and hanging out with them every single day, it's such a special thing. And obviously this being the last year, 2018 Warped Tour, I think it's going to be the biggest and some of the best shows that are going to be happening out there on Warped Tour as far as Warped Tour is concerned. But yeah, coming out with a new record, it's going to be really fun, because we just did we did 2 weeks in Europe, and we played the 2 first singles. We did Dead and Gone and Crystal Ball, and those were the first times we'd ever played those live. And they were just so fun, and the reception was so good that I'm excited to kind of see it like potentially explode on Warped Tour. Yeah.
It's always fun because playing the same set for the last few years with Around the World and Back, whenever you come out with new music, it's just an extra rush playing the new stuff. So I think it's going to be exciting finally getting to play these songs live and having people know them. Right. That's going to be a really special experience. Right. So.
Now, over the years, like you guys have, like you mentioned, meeting new friends, new artists, new bands. There was one particular person that was just such a fan of you guys. Even while you guys were on Warped Tour, Tyler Posey, who now has his own band, Pavements. So it's like, how do relationships like that, like, what do those mean to you when someone that's not even in the music world, like a movie star, like comes up and it's like, dude, these guys are like the shit.
It's very cool when we see stuff like that pop up, and when we see it come from a real spot, to where it's genuine and not just like some bullshit or whatever. With Tyler Posey, we totally saw that, and we knew he was like a famous actor. But the reason we found him is because he covered one of our songs on YouTube, just playing it like shittily on guitar, and and he knew it. Like his thing was like me covering songs and I suck, but like I'm gonna try my best. But he's grown as a musician too now because of all of that stuff he's done. And he has his own band now. They're going to be out on Warped Tour for some of it as well, playing acoustic, playing full band. So we can't wait to spend it. Last time we did Warped Tour, he wanted to just be involved in hanging out with his friends and bands that were on Warped Tour. That he came on our bus and rode with us for a few days, rode with us for a week, and just hung out with us.
Didn't he even like come out and play on stage too?
No, well, he did come out, I think, and sang with us a couple of times because we forced him to do that. But we have a couple of these relationships where it's like kind of like just celebrities that aren't involved in the music world, whether it's someone like Tyler Posey, who's in the film scene and actor scene. We have some sports friends, and we have some extreme sports friends, including Adam Ciancerulo, who's like a motocross rider that's become great friends with Evan and ultimately all of us. That like it's just cool to make these connections, and not because it's something that we need and we need your help as like a celebrity or whatever. When we see something real and someone real wants to hang out with us, that's what we care about. Is making friendships, especially when we can support each other in our own ways and with what each other do. So that's all we really look for with that. So we try not to take those for granted.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I don't want to take too much of your time because you guys got to perform in a couple minutes.
That's true.
So, for those fans out there that have not heard the record yet, what is so different with Living Proof?
Man, it's our third album, but it's our best album yet. We took a lot of time. We wrote so many songs, and then we narrowed it down to the ones that we know are going to tell the right story and that are going to be relatable to everyone that listens to us. And we can't thank everyone enough for all their support that let us do what we do. Get to keep touring, exploring new areas, coming back to your city, getting to do these cool events like in-store, record store, acoustic things. It's all because of those who support us, listen to us, tell their friends about us, and we can't thank you guys enough. So here's to the next chapter.